All right, so as we are continuing on, it's the beginning of week 7, which is kind of crazy. We're officially into frameworks mode. We're going 100% full steam ahead. We're doing Sinatra for today and tomorrow. We'll start Rails on Thursday, and then we'll do Rails until this day right here, the 9th of March. And then we'll spend 3 weeks on React. And yeah, it should be a good time. We're going to be moving about the same speed, but there's more content to be covered. And a lot of the stuff I'm just kind of have to assume that you know. So slow me down and stop me in the case that you have any sort of questions. In terms of fun things that are happening, you don't need to worry about Deloitte Day. It doesn't impact you at all. The same material that I'm going to be teaching on the Deloitte Day, I'll be reteaching on this Chicago Veteran Developers Night. So if you want to come to this, I'm going to make that. No, I won't make that optional. This is a mandatory thing that everyone's going to have to come to. I'll start class at like 10 a.m. that day or something like that. But on the 21st, which is in like 3.5 weeks or so, we're going to do Chicago Veteran Developers. You get to meet a few people who can, help you out in your job search, including people who work. There's not a very large community, which is good because they know exactly who the players are, and they know who you are as well. So there's a company called HashRocket. There's a principal engineer who works at Amazon who's going to be coming from there. There's somebody from Hyatt who's going to be there that I know are going to be coming out to that. Today we have career prep from 5:30 to 6:30. Matt Goggin, who's the remote TA on Wednesdays, will be coming in tomorrow at 3 o'clock to teach whiteboarding. Again, I'll have Mike set that up. I'll make that one optional. This one's going to be more of just like a regular whiteboarding interview. So if you want to stay for that, that's cool. If you want to go somewhere else, that's okay as well. That's all like the big things we have for this week. Let's just jump into the stuff from Friday. All right, so on Friday we had a challenge called Sinatra credit card. Let's kind of read through what the README says. All right. So there's a credit card validator that basically says when you enter your credit card online, they can immediately tell whether or not it's a Visa or an Amex or a MasterCard, and you might be wondering how they do that. In addition, when you enter even one number wrong, it's most of the time it's like you entered something by accident, or you might have put a letter in, or you might have was it ham fingers? You might have fat fingered the keyboard, and then it showed up strangely, and then it didn't work. And your job for this one was just basically to create a form that would say, whether or not it was a valid card and to see what kind of card it was. So I haven't seen any of the actual answers yet, but I'll start with each person's branch, and I'll do kind of like a fairly aggressive code review on it, saying if you had a boss who was very, very nitpicky, this is what that boss might nitpick. So I'm going to start with Danny and Sharif's branch. I'm going to get checkout. Since it's a branch that already exists, I'll just do get checkout Dan Sharif branch. And here we go. Let's see what we've got. So first things first, watch all the spacing. Lots and lots of spacing issues. All right. So, this is supposed to be 2 spaces instead of 1. And the reason I can see this is not because I'm some sort of genius. It's just I read code a lot. So I'm able to see these things very quickly. So I saw that there was 1 space instead of 2 because this is what I look at every single day. So make sure it's 2 spaces and between every single indent. All right, so we require Sinatra, we require Pry, and let's just see if this works for now. So if I do bundle install to install everything inside the gem file, remember the gem file is just a list of gems that you're going to need for this particular repository. I'm just going to bundle install everything, and then I'll run shotgun app.rb. So here on 9393, let's see what we've got. Localhost 93393. It's not day after tomorrow. I believe it is credit check. So now I want to know your credit card number. All right. So Can someone give me their credit card number?
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. All right, let's find a dummy credit card. Let's look at Visa credit card number dummy. Test credit card numbers. All right, let's try this first one, this American Express. So I'm just going to enter this in here, press submit, and see what we get back. Great, your credit card number is invalid, and your credit card issuer is American Express. Okay. You don't take American Express? Let's see. Can you guys take Visa? Let's see. Let's go back. Submit. Your credit card number is valid. Your credit card issuer is Visa. Okay, so it does what we expect to do. Maybe something happened with the American Express one. Do you take MasterCard? Find out. Your credit card number is valid and your credit card issuer is MasterCard. All right, so it looks like it does, for the most part, like we're not going to nitpick about the American Express one. For the most part, it looks like it works.
Myself and Sharif actually worked on the Loon algorithm together too, and we did it in JavaScript. So
Okay.
instead of, we're lazy, and instead of converting it, we just copied someone's algorithm that worked for the Loon algorithm in Ruby. I think it was Leanna.
Okay. So you copied this one. All right, that's fine.
No, not the Loon algorithm one. Yeah, not the credit card issuer,
this one.
that one.
Okay.
We copied that from someone else's.
Cool. All right, so let's kind of go line by line. We got get credit check. So whenever anyone makes a get request to credit check, it executes everything between line 4 and 6. For this one, it just says it loads the ERB file called credit card. All of these views are found under a views folder. That's good. And we have creditcard.erb. I'm going to split this into 2. All right, so it says, hey, you have an H1. Hey, I want to know your credit card number. It's a post that you created a form. It's going to post to credit card check, and that's this block of code right here. And we just have an input placeholder. Okay, everything looks good to me. Just remove some of these spaces here. This looks good. I like this. And when I submit it, I hit the post and it hits the credit card check. All right, so I have credit card number equals params. What is params?
It's a hash.
It's a hash.
It's given to.
Yeah, it's a hash that's given to us for free whenever you submit a form. Everything that somebody enters is encapsulated within params once you submit into a form. Params credit card. This credit card matches up with the name on the right side on line 4. ERB credit card greeting. I'm guessing it's right here. And the local variables that you need. Output is going to be credit check. Okay. And the first numbers, the credit card. Okay, so one thing I might rename this is output. I would probably do is valid or invalid, and I just call this valid or invalid. And then first numbers, I probably wouldn't do it. I'd probably call it a credit card issuer. Make sure that I have, first numbers is not indicative of actually what happened at that particular point. Now let's take a look. Credit check. This one you copied over, right?
Yeah, from the Loon
algorithm. Right. That's totally fine because I'm guessing Leanna used the same one again. So I'm going to change a few things. I will just call this. Is there any other ones? Okay, so credit card number. Number array. Okay, reversed numbers. What's that? Credit card number .2i.digits.reverse. Can't it just reverse it and then do? Oh, I see what you do. Okay.
So, what's dot digits?
What is dot digits, Leanna?
So as opposed to As opposed to when you have an array that you're breaking up and it's looking to break it up based on spaces or something. This actually as opposed to the first number being like a million, it makes that first number 1 and it breaks it up so that every individual number is its own char. Whereas like if you try to break it up using it's really hard to break it up because it's not a string, so those aren't characters to break up individually. Instead, like it will take an integer and break it up so that if you have like 152, the numbers become 1, 5, and 2 in your array.
It's like dot split.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's split specifically for a string, so that's why this is for integers.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Reverse numbers, map with index. Why did we choose map here? Is there a reason? Maybe. Okay. Map with index, do digit index. Okay. That works for me. So basically, you get a credit card number. You're going to turn that credit card number. You get that as a string, right? So you're passing it as a string. I'm going to turn it into an integer. I'm going to take all the digits, which is basically the split version of that, and I'm going to reverse it. So I take all the numbers. I take all the numbers that are passed in as strings, make them into integers, and reverse it. That's all I do. So if I have 411, it's 114. That's all we've got here. We're going to iterate over each one of those numbers. I'm going to keep track of the digit, and I'm going to keep track of the index. So the reverse numbers of the index, so she's overwriting the original, equals digit times 2 if it's an even index. If that particular thing that you've replaced it is greater than 9 at that point, I'm going to reverse numbers into, okay, I'm going to basically just add them together. That works for me. And I think that does everything that we would want. So this section right here, it depends on what you like. Most people like to read it in terms of this, like if something happens, return this, otherwise return not valid. I don't need a return here, I think. I think I can just do an implicit string return. Other people, on the other hand, you might have a boss that likes to do stuff like this. This is called a ternary operator. We covered this maybe pretty quickly at the very beginning of class, but a ternary operator is one way just to write an if-else statement in one giant line using symbols. So the way that this works is that the question mark means if. So it's if this thing evaluates to true, then execute this. Otherwise, execute that. So lines 22 through 26 are identical to 28.
This is a good situation to use this because the things inside the if-else are so small.
Yep. So in case you didn't hear Mike, we can totally do 22 through 26. It's legitimate. It's easy to read. But because the things that are being executed are so small, as a result, it's just returning like valid or invalid here. All we have to do, we can turn this into one line, and some people prefer to read it like this if it's something super simple like that. I'm personally a fan of this, but I've also seen a lot of people do this as well. I would change all of these double quotes to singles unless you're interpolating something. Okay, and then we're going back over here. Credit card valid, is this ever used? Not, so I can remove it.
That was one of the earlier
Yep.
movies.
And then we have a credit card issuer with a number. Okay. I don't think there's a better way to do this, but I don't think you need all of these returns. And then I think you can get rid of all of these. Make sure everything can be a single string so that you're not, everything can be single quotes because you're not interpolating anything, and then you just escape all these diners clubs and so on and so forth. But overall, this looks pretty good. Let's jump on to the next person. Let's take a look at Kimberly's branch. See what we've got. Just to explain what I just did very quickly. CO is a get alias that's built in. You can just, so instead of typing checkout, you can just do get CO. That's something you can set automatically based off of the based on the documentation. I changed a few things with Danny and Sharif's branch, so I didn't want to commit it. I didn't really want to add or commit it, so I was just kind of, you know what, I'm just going to stash it. Stash it just means I'm going to take all those changes and put it over here to the side for now, and then I'll get to it later. So I stashed it, and then I checked out to Kimberly's branch. So I'm here on Kimberly's branch. Let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, so we have require Sinatra, set ERB format HTML5. This is from the curriculum. So you're saying for every single ERB file, I'm going to set the format to HTML5 just to begin with. I have a credit card number and then an ERB of app. So let's take a look at app.erb. Hey, I need your credit card number. I have a method and with an action. Placeholder looks good. The name is going to be credit card number. All right. So it posts over to here, and we have credit card number. And we have all of this down here, which we'll take a look at in just a second. So what I would say in terms of names of routes, we're gonna get into this more and more over the next couple of days, but there's things called RESTful routing. RESTful routing means there's a naming convention behind most of the routes that you go to. So it's kind of like if I want to go to take a look at all the events for a certain organization, it would be like /events. And if I wanted to look at event number 1, 2, 3, or 4, it'd be /events/1/2/3/4. So when we talk about things like these, like this particular URL, I might not choose the word valid because it's not especially descriptive of what's going on. Like valid, like what are you checking is valid? So for this one, I might change it to maybe validate credit card number. I'll change this to validate number because I want the action to be pretty self-explanatory of what's going on. Because when I just do /valid, I'm like, I'm not sure what that really means. On top of that, the same thing applies over here to the credit card number. Now, app is okay for this particular challenge because there's only one page. There's only one page to really see, and that's so you can call it the main app page. But you might want to name your files a little bit more descriptively than app in the end. So instead of doing app, like the ERB is just going to be app, maybe we'll call it like credit checker or something like that, or some sort of file that would be a little bit more descriptive rather than just app.rb. Again, for this one it's okay because we only have one view, but pretty soon you're going to have more than just one view that you're going to. So I would call this credit checker, and I would rename this as credit checker as well. But I'm going to bring it back to app just so we can see that this works. So when we go back over here, she's going to load up valid. And again, I'd probably call this like validate CC number or some other thing that's a little bit more descriptive in terms of the name of the file. And she's passing in some local variables. All right, validity, I like that. It's a very descriptive name right there. And she's running, the value of that's going to be the result of the credit card valid method. And the card type is get CC type, which I like, with the number as well. All right, there's a lot here. Let's take a look. Credit card valid with credit card number. We're going to, okay. So CC, I'm going to take the number. I'm going to slice it from 0 to the last one, dot reverse and split. I don't think you need the slice. I think you can just reverse and split here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. So S1, so I have this reversed string. Each with index do evens and index. Okay, so if index mod 2 is going to be equal to, so if it's an even index, S1 plus equal evens dot 2I.
Is S1 like string one?
I don't know what S1. So again, like what I would say is some of the names of your variables have to be very descriptive so that when other people read it, there's absolutely no issue. CC is okay. I'm not the biggest fan. CC is like, well, we're talking about credit cards, so CC stands for credit card, so I'm just going to do credit card. What is S1, Kimberly?
S1 comes from the page where you were talking about the algorithm. I just took it off of the page.
Okay.
So it's like those even numbers that you have to add together.
Sure. Even numbers. All right, so actually, I think there's an even method, so you don't need to do this. But it's kind of like if the index is going to be even, then I can do this thing. Even index numbers plus equals evens dot 2I. And I probably wouldn't call this evens. I just call this number, individual number inside the credit card. All right, so I'm going to add this onto here. Even numbers index plus, okay, so this is that mod 10. I like this S2. Probably not the name of the S2 method, but I like the fact that you're splitting it because you're doing two things here. The first one is get all the even indexes and just add them. That one's very simple. You're doing something completely different here, which is good. So I'm splitting that into its second a second method here. This one I might go along with that ternary operator again. So again, you can do 23 through 27 totally fine, or you can just do valid, else invalid. It's your call whichever one reads easier to you. 29 and 23 through 27 are identical. So get S2, I'm having a sum, the number each with index, do odds and index. I think if you can just do index.odd. Then you do all this stuff over here. I think that we can, without going super deep into this, because there's a lot of slicing going on here, I feel like you probably don't need to slice, and I think you might be able to combine this particular thing in here. So it's like if the index is even, you do one thing. If the index is odd, you should be able to do something else and add them all up, if I'm not mistaken. We have a bunch of case statements. You probably don't need all these returns here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay. This particular one, I have a lot of repeated things. So this one in particular, I might just do else if CC if, I think it's just 1, 5 include. I think that one can be, because this essentially is basically saying if the second number in the credit card is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, then you have a MasterCard. So I think that this will do exactly the same thing. If I have an array of the strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if this particular thing is included in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can return MasterCard. Okay, let's check if this works. I think I messed up a lot of things, so this might not even run. Let's see, list everything, let's bundle install. We'll run shotgun app.rb. So we're going to go to credit card number. Okay, I need your credit card number. Let's grab a Discover card here. Submit. Awesome, you have a valid Discover. Cool, check another credit card. All right, so we have another, I like this little link right here to go back. Looks good to me. All right, in the 5 minutes I've got left before we take a quick break, let's see this last person. This last one. Raymond and Leanna. All right, let's take a look. Good, check out. Ray Leanna branch. I've made some changes that says like, don't lose your changes. Do you want to commit it? Do you want to stash it? I'm just going to stash it because I know I'm not really going to need it. So I just throw it to the side. I just leave it for later kind of thing. So let's check out to Ray Leanna branch and we'll check this out. So some spacing issues. All right, everything else looks okay. Get credit card. I'm going to load up the form. Okay. Again, form is okay because we're only dealing with one thing here, but in the end, I might want to call like credit card form or something like that. Form basically just has a literally you might want to have a little something like an H1 that just basically says like hello, like welcome, please enter your credit, like tell your user what to do.
It's in our layout.
Oh, excuse me. All right, let's take a look. All right, so it says credit check for the title and a body for H1. Check your credit card. Leanna, what is? You are correct. What is a layout?
So layout is kind of like a template page for your entire website so that every time you go to an ERB, it initially checks the layout ERB and then you use those yield statements on line 9 to go into that body that you want to specialize for each page.
Yep, pretty much. That's exactly it. So again, a layout is something that's loaded before everything else. And then it yields its time over to each individual thing. So every single page is going to have credit check on the top, and every single page evidently is going to have check your credit card as an H1 before it yields over. So I'm going to save this here. I just changed a few things. Just goes to check. Again, we might want to have something a little bit more descriptive. It's totally okay for this challenge because this challenge is just one small thing. But when you get to more links, check is not going to be the greatest thing for you. So CC equals param CC, type equals credit card type, validity equals credit card. I like this because it's very, very clear on what's going on here. One thing I might even argue is you probably don't even need type and validity as individual like variables because I'm only using it once. So I can probably just replace this and this. It's down on a little bit of stuff. CC is okay because I'm repeating myself twice. So instead of calling param CC, I just have CC here. But because I'm not really using the two previous variables that you had, I'm just going to call it directly in the passing down to locals. All right, so credit card type. I think we misspelled something. Oh, whoops, nope. Credit card type. Credit card type. Card types each do num type. Okay, so inside of Ruby specifically, they like full-length variable names. So make sure we do that. Let's see, each do number and type. Number, num2s. What the heck is this?
If it
begins with that key. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay, I like it. Cool. All right, so let's see.
That's also the appropriate response to anytime you see regex.
Yes, what the heck is this thing? I was like, I know it's a regex because it's in the forward slashes. I know this means the beginning of the line, and I know that this means I'm interpolating. So yeah, if the beginning of the line starts with X number, then I'm going to match it up with this. Okay, that works. Let's see if this runs. Shotgun app.rb. We go to credit card is the get. Check your credit card, and we will do test a card first. Let's try this American Express. Your American Express is invalid. Okay, so it looks like it's actually an invalid thing inside of this PayPal thing. Let's try this Visa that I haven't tried before. your Visa is valid. And you can see that check your credit card is staying up at the very top because it's a layout. It's loaded before every single thing, even though this bottom section is changing overall. Nice job overall to everybody. All of the stuff seemed to work. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll be back at 10:06.